ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Trask Told You. I'm your host, Trask now. Now, I guess we should make sure we're not muted, anything like that. This is the first episode of the week, so always a little rusty. Let's see, is that glorious audio working? We're going? Yeah, we're going. I apologize. Still feel a little under the weather. It's ebbs and flows, kind of all over the place as far as just a head cold, luckily, but as you can hear, my voice still not the greatest, but hoping to clear up because next episode, Trask told you I plan on using the Smash Machine. That's very exciting. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. We'll see what happens. So if people don't know, hang on one second. All right, let's do this. If people don't know, I do this from the bedroom because during the day, twins are home, Ellie's home, lots of stuff, so I do this here. Of course, Emily needed something. Who's coming in right now? But you know what? It's not my fault. She knows I go 12:30 on Wednesdays for sure. I'm getting the middle finger, but there you go. But yes, still a little under the weather right now. As we speak, but yeah, Smash Machine, that'll be on Friday, so that's going to be the unless there's any other news, I'll be the main review there. And then what else we got going on this week? I completely forgot. I messaged Taylor today that we got Gen V later tonight. This people don't have it all over Canada, but we had a holiday yesterday, so that's throwing me completely off as far as what day it is, what's happening. Today being Wednesday, I have no clue where I am, so there's a good shot I was going to show up to the podcasting table tonight and not watch Gen V, but I was like, oh, okay, I saw it, so we got that. For patrons, White Man Can't Jump Retro, John with no H, that's recording tonight, so look out, I'm in the middle of, I got 17 minutes left, so that's going to be a fun time. Going to be interesting, because I feel like it's a lot of those people's first time watching as far as like the GV guys, and then also just like I only saw it once or twice a long time ago. I remember seeing it in my grandma's base, and we'll get into that, but it's been a long time. So we got that going on. Peacemaker penultimate episode. Like I said, Trask told you 12:30 p.m. PST on Friday, covering Smash Machine and anything else that happens. Jeez. And then next week, the Monday, Trask told you, will probably be another review. We'll see what happens there. It might be a review heavy one. I'd like to try and do some news because we have other newscasts. And I will promise, if people are like, oh, I miss you guys doing news all together, that's happening. In 2 weeks, we'll be back to doing news. It's just that we have Peacemaker still going. Obviously, we got Gen V, we had Alien, we had Dexter. But in a couple weeks, Peacemaker will be done. Gen V will be winding down, and I think it's the 21st when Weekly Geek starts, and then you'll be getting other stuff. Even like the 11th, I originally had a GeekVerse episode planned for the New York Comic Con, but Taylor was going camping. I got Thanksgiving plans with the family. So, again, this is for Trask-centric topics, but that's why lately I've been covering a lot of news that we would cover because we have no main newscast. And today's just like going to be a fun little loose show. So if you got something you want to say in the comments, let me know. If you're a patron or you send a super chat, we can do that. It's only an hour-long show, but yeah, just discussing some rumors that have been out a little past, a little bit. But yeah, in the future, what was I going to say? Monday, I'm definitely reviewing Ed Gein. So, because Friday, I feel like I have to watch something, but Ed Gein, that's Monsters. I'll be reviewing that. And then probably VHS Halloween. I probably will. I'm going to try to watch some VHSs because I remember there's a bunch of them. And I just feel like the few that I had seen, not the full thing, but just stories, I didn't love. I know there are great stories in them. So I want to try and give them all a go, because, people don't know. Maybe mini exclusive here and there. Maybe our third film we'll work on, Those Nightmares, maybe has a little isms to some stories like that. So always good for some inspiration. But the Halloween trailer for VHS had me sold. Looks fantastic. So look out for that. And then, yeah, I'll be back to regular Monday and Wednesday for now. Obviously, Thanksgiving in Canada is coming up, so we'll see. GM mode will be happening this weekend as well. Look out for the time, because I gave the boys the wrong time, because Ellie has 2 birthday parties this week, so I'm waiting for them to respond, but hopefully that's going to be Sunday, 10 a.m. PST. And it's been a while. We missed September, so we'll have to do a Make Good episode here soon. But yeah, it's been a minute, and I literally got to go back and rewatch some of the stuff, know where I am. But, 2-0 GM mode God, those guys, they got nothing on me going on right now. So yeah, and a big thank you to the Patreon producers, which a good reminder, everybody that's listening to this right now, Aaron Brayden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad, Mike, God Loves Me 69, Jeremy Rennie, Charlie Randall, Cocktail Clay, John No H, and Sam Green. Please, if you have not voted for the Halloween Retro, we'll be reviewing that next week. We'll be reviewing, obviously, a horror film or, something related to Halloween. The polls are very close right now, so go vote right now so we have a tiebreaker. So we don't got to do a tiebreaker and push the Retro a little further. I was late on the poll, so make sure you go do that, and I'd very much appreciate that. So okay, so let's take a look. So yeah, the news I got Starfire rumors, I got MCU rumors, and I got Mummy 4 rumors, all coming from the same source, all coming from Daniel RPK, who is a scooper, not always right, not always wrong. I put him in the B tier category. So, and there's other stuff here and there. Box office, there wasn't much to talk about. One battle after another. I think it was like 23 million. That the success of that film, obviously big budget, so that defeated Warner Brothers' streak of the 40 million opening. And I don't know how successful this is going to be. Hopefully, the word of mouth keeps it. Check out Friday or last Friday's episode. I did review it. Really loved it for the most part, and everybody should go listen to the score if you're not listening or if you've seen the movie. That score I've been writing to lately, man, it is a good one. So, yeah, let's talk about this, shall we? So he had put out that in the next phase. So he didn't say phase 7 because who knows what it's going to be, right? And that's a big thing where it's like, if you do a mini reset or reboot of the MCU, do you still say phase 7 or is it started over? And that's going to be the full on answer, right? Because I think even last week there's another scooper that put out like, oh, the plan for this reset reboots the most of the timeline's going to be the same, but some things that either didn't work or annoyed the fans, Kevin Feige, or both are going to be massaged or fixed. So that's what's like, is that worth doing this is a whole new phase, like a phase 1, 1.1 starting over, or 1.2? I don't know. I feel like you still keep phase 7 because it's tough, because I understand the idea we want to start with a fresh coat of paint, bring in new people. But at the same time, when you do reboot, you do always lose those people that might like it, right? Because some people might look at that as a time to go, you know what? All done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? But at the same time, it is tough if the rumor is, oh, they're going to keep the same timeline. Relatively, that doesn't make sense if you want to also recast Steve Rogers, which has come from a bigger tier, right? That came from, I think, Variety like last year and everything. So I still believe it's more of a grander reboot or start over and keeping some things kind of the way we've talked about before. I can't remember if All New and All Different was that, but if people don't know, New 52 in the DC universe, they rebooted, and it was not it was a reboot, but they still kept a lot of stuff that had happened. Like Batman had all his Robins and stuff like that, right? Batgirl had been shot and been in a wheelchair, and then she was Oracle, and now she's like, they'd kept certain continuity aspects, right? So I still think that's the route it's going to go. For me, I always wonder, and I don't think it's going to be Kevin Feige's problem to deal with, is so the after the fact now, do you always do this? That every time you want a new Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, whatever, Thor, Black Widow, do you always recast and you just keep it like the Batman original Tim Burton to Kilmer to George Clooney, right? Where it's technically the same guy, but it's a new actor, or Bond in a sense? Or do you just always start over? Is that the start of a new phase, saga, continuity, right? I don't know. Not problems I want to have. I still think that's why it would be best for them to. Yeah, because it is tough thinking about, because I know you have Sam Wilson and you even have like Yelena, but it is tough to think that if you go, okay, we're not in the next 50 years, you're never gonna get a live action Steve Rogers story, really, right? That is kind of a tough pill to swallow, in a sense that I'm not saying get rid of Sam or Yelena and stuff, like keep them in, but just those are rich characters that we didn't get to see all their stories, right? Excuse me. Like we only got to see Steve Rogers versus the Red Skull once, barely, right? So it's like, do you never tell that story again? I feel like you just kind of have to bite the bullet there. But in this rumor was the main big bads, the villains, the Thanoses, the Kang slash Doctor Doom, is supposedly going to be Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse. Now, this fits with everything we've heard so far. Sorry, there's gonna be some breaks because I'm gonna cough, because I don't want to cough in a mic, so I apologize. I'm gonna take a drink of water before I continue ranting here. And listen to that. That's not good. Not much water left in there. Uh, we've heard Mr. Sinister from RPK, but other scoopers for a while for to be the villain of the first MCU X-Men movie, right? To me, that makes a lot of sense in the jeez Louise, in the sense that it's not a um we haven't done it before. Let's see. Sorry, I had to respond to a semi-urgent text, not super urgent, but semi. Just left a person hanging there. So, never done before. Live action, great character. And I've said this before too. If Gene and Scott are one of your mains, perfect villain lead there, right? He's always obsessed with the Scott Summers bloodline and DNA and gene splicing and all this stuff, right? So all the signs are there, and I think with that you want to start off new. They did that with Vulture with Spider-Man, right? Fantastic Four, they did that. I'm gonna say they did that with Galactus. I'm not counting the fart cloud in 2005, and even then, Doctor Doom wasn't in there, right? Where he was in both first movie versions of the other one. So MCU, which I enjoy, sometimes don't enjoy because sometimes I feel like they try to be too different for the sake of being different. And I go, no, like it's fine if this kind of echoes something of the past because it worked, right? That's the same reason why we never got any goblins or anything like that, because it was like, well, we don't want to, and even Defoe's like, well, that's a old goblin from established thing, but I think that there's even Hobgoblin, other goblins you could have brought in and done stuff with. But Mr. Sinister like matches their MO, right, of what they do with the new IP. It's something I've wanted. It's a fun character. It almost ended up in the Fox universe a couple times. Even X-Men 97, which I know is not MCU, it still led with Mr. Sinister having a big showcase, right? For a while until Bastion got in. So it's like, I think they do like this character. It's visually fun character. Lots of great actors could be playing that character as well. And so to me, I thought, okay, like bad guy for X-Men. It's tough, right? Because that's been the question too. Like X-Men, is it just X-Men and that's it? Is it X-Men a few Disney Plus series? Is it X-Men and a Wolverine movie and a Jean movie? I don't know. I still think at its core, you should keep it the X-Men. I think obviously Wolverine can spin off, but to me, that's a team I know lots of people have pitched doing the Avengers lineup as far as, well, let's do a Beast movie. That's got, no. I don't want that. To me, I like a lot of those individual characters quite a bit, but I enjoy them more as a team, right? To me, it's the same thing as like a Stranger Things, where, yeah, I like those characters, but if you just did one of them as a spin-off, wouldn't really work for me. Not that I would have watched it because I was far out, but that's how I kind of felt with like when they were like, oh, we're doing a Norman Reedus Walking Dead spinoff. It's like, I do like Daryl, but I liked Daryl with the crew, I think obviously Daryl, you could make that argument for, oh, he's the Wolverine in the group. Yep, I get that, right? But I think there's certain characters that you can't get away with that with. So to me, I think that's what you do. And that's where I could have saw them doing like a mini phase within a phase. So you have phase one and you have all your movies, right? Let's say it's a combination of Fantastic Four, X-Men, other Marvel heroes, and then within that there's like a little mini story for the X-Men. Or is phase one really like mutant X-Men heavy the whole way through, right? Is everything X-Men, which I also don't want. Like, I love the X-Men, but I still want to live in the world where I really hope in phase 7, and we'll just call it that for now, I really hope in phase 7 we can get a proper Avengers movie. And what I mean by that is, as disappointing the movie is, Age of Ultron is the last time we got a proper Avengers movie. Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, Doomsday, it looks like, and then even to a lesser extent, like, I know it's not the exact same, but Marvel Zombies, the idea of who the Avengers are a group of 50 people. It's just like a squad. It's like they are a country. So for me, it's just like, and I was fine. Don't get me wrong. I was fine with that in Infinity War and Endgame of having everyone in there, right? In concept, I'm fine with it in Doomsday, even though I think they dropped the ball with not having a smaller Avengers movie in between. So that's why I'm less happy with Doomsday being, oh, it's the whole crew of 50 and new people back together, right? And Secret Wars, if we're getting Toby back and Hugh back, it's like, that's even more so. Like, so I would love it if I obviously for them, I worry that the word Avengers now, and this could be it for sure, is just going to be used as a crossover event going forward. So we'll never get an Avengers movie, because I feel like if I were to say, hey, make an Avengers movie that's a roster of 6 to 7, maybe it could have been lesser known characters like we talked about before with Sam, Yelena, and Shang-Chi. And I just wonder if it doesn't make $1 billion, if they feel like that like ruins the brand or hurts the brand of the Avengers. I don't think so. I think it's about time. I think everything's really different, right? But I don't know. I would very much like to get back to that Salt team. I'd love to have the F4 and X-Men and Avengers, and then when they're together, call it something else, right? Or even if it's just Avengers, cool, and then give it that subtitle. But I digress. So that's where the thing is. It could lead me to with the. Did I say both of them? If I bared the lead this long, I'm sorry. Mr. Sinister being a big bad, and this Mr. Apocalypse. Apocalypse. List them both, right? I think that's a good. Let's say you do like a three. If every saga is three phases, I think there's a good way to kind of go like Sinister's one, Apocalypse is two, and then both of them are in three, or Sinister is one, or Sinister. They do the Loki thing where Sinister is just an X-Men bad guy in the first movie. Phase 7 is just like a bunch of random stuff, kind of like Phase 4, right? Phase 8 is Mr. Sinister that leads to Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is Phase 9. Luckily, Sinister not as much, but Apocalypse can be a Avengers, Fantastic Four type of villain. He's a Thanos, Doctor Doom, that he has specific lane, but he can stretch his arms out to kind of tackle everybody as far as being a bad guy, right? So for me, that doesn't tell me anything yet. The fact that Sinister and Apocalypse could tell me that maybe it is very, very eccentric. And we've heard that before where maybe it is going to be that and stuff like the Avengers might not happen. And it might be what I just referred to, the big crossover events. Or it's just that Mr. Sinister is going to be maybe up the level and, or it is just, yeah, it's just the X-Men and the Avengers have their solo films. And then they're only the Avengers with these big crossovers, right? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want every Avengers film to have Fantastic Four and X-Men. To me, that's not the point of the Avengers. I think now you dilute in a way where when you get another Avengers, you go, oh, well, this isn't that many people. But it's like, no, the original film was, a roster of 6 people, made $1 billion. It was a massive movie, right? And then what? Roster's like 9 people, like now, huge numbers. And it's not even just the number of characters, it's the stock level of said characters, right? So that's the tough thing. As far as being true, I buy it. And as far as being a good fit, yeah, sure. Even this report said that they have ideas who they want to play these characters, but no actors have been obviously cast yet because I think we are far off. And I think obviously casting will be key. But Apocalypse makes a lot of sense, and Sinister's many times tied to Apocalypse, so maybe they just do it that way, where that's the start of the character, as like a X-Men villain, but they kind of transition into some Marvel stuff to kind of allude to something that's coming. I don't know, but I think it works. I think he's, it can work quite a bit. So let's see here. Superman Mike says they're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting to make Apocalypse different from Oscar Isaac version. That name is pretty tainted. Yeah, I think to an extent you're right, Mike, but I think because of by time how long it's gonna be till we get to them, because let's say X-Men Apocalypse, and also it's like, is that tainted because of the whole GA, or is that tainted for us because us like comic book fans didn't really like that, like 2016, right? We're 2026 next year, so we've been a decade from this. Like to me, if this is a way where obviously Apocalypse could be introduced early, right? But let's say Apocalypse is the big bad for the next phase, the saga, the mutant saga, right? And he's not popping into phase 8, phase 9. Then we're getting into like 2030, 31. Like you could, by the time you actually see him on screen, or be like, let's say we get to Avengers Apocalypse, even though maybe it's just called X-Men Apocalypse, right? And you could do it that way. And man, in the multiverse type of stuff, when they've done these, the Snap and all these different multiverses, I'd very much love something to do with the Age of Apocalypse. That's something that the movies did not do, and that'd be ripe for tons of fun stuff. Obviously, we saw some tributes in Deadpool and Wolverine, but I think that's the only thing, Mike, that I agree with you. But I think because the amount of time that's going to pass by, I think it'll be okay. Because we could not get Avengers Apocalypse too. Because when do we get? Let's say it's the same amount of time, right? We got Avengers Doomsday, or Avengers Endgame 2018. Now we're getting Avengers in 2026, so 7 years. And even then, if he's the Thanos, we wouldn't see him in that first Avengers movie, right? But let's say even if that happened, let's say he is the first big bad of Avengers and X-Men, whatever, right? So Secret Wars comes in 2027. That would be 6 years from then. Let's say it's roughly the same, because obviously scripts or strikes and COVID happened, so that's a lot different. But let's say it was the same, just to throw a number out there. That's what, 2030 and 33. I think by 2033, if he's the bad guy of an Avengers movie, I think I think it's fine. I think a lot of people have forgotten it at that point, right? So I think we're all good to go there. But yeah, I enjoy it. I like it. I believe it. I think that's a good one because I don't know where else. Same thing with Doom. We're gonna have to wait and see, right? Because I think we've heard conflicting reports too as far as everything with Doom, and I think it's because they're trying to figure out. We've heard that hey, this is one done. We've heard Danny's gonna stick around. Could Doom always be a bad guy? Yes, but it's like, well, what do you go next? I still would very much love Kane to get another shot at some point, but that is even worse than the Apocalypse thing because that's just like a in general thing. But I wish they just have dug their heels and recast right away and go. But Apocalypse for the next big bad makes sense. Still think you can bring Thanos back at any point. There's still other characters as well. You could always somehow use Norman as a. You could use Norman as a big bad and even the Dark Avengers in a sense, but that's when it gets tough with the Sony stuff, right? But there's tons of options. So okay, let's look at this one. I want to say for Taylor, but like I said, don't think there's newscast coming up anytime soon, and I think you'll be okay with me talking about it. So, Starfighter. We've been getting minor set photos, right? But they're filming, so that's a good thing. That's good to know that it's actually happening. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'll wait until the movies come out, but like, no, I think that this was gonna happen. We did talk recently about the Mandalorian Grogu trailer. Don't have much faith in that. Got some faith in this as far as being a bit more I don't know, to my liking, even though like I don't think it's gonna be like amazing or anything. I shouldn't say that. I like I'm not as negative about Sean Levy as other people, but I also am not like oh, like this is I think he's a good choice. I feel like I've defended him a lot, but at the same time, when you take the defenses out, I'm not thinking like, wow, this is like the James Mangold thing, right? Which I can talk about that here too, because that got cycled into some of these rumors. But Sean Levy is like a solid, good director. I gave Deadpool and Wolverine a 10 out of 10, but I don't think that's because it's directing. I think there's a lot of the legacy and how they worked it in. I think a lot of that is Ryan Reynolds, and I enjoy that movie a lot. I know, just like every other movie they get turned on, I have a good time. And every time I watch a movie, I have a good time. It did exactly what I wanted. It's not the strongest MCU. It's not the best MCU. Like, if I was doing best MCU stuff, I don't think it's even in the top 10, top 20 maybe, right? But best, favorite, we talk about all the time. But before we talk about the Amy Adams news, so I don't forget, yeah, it was announced yesterday that James Mangold has like a first look with Paramount, right? Is that what it is? But let me just get the full wording, just make sure. Or was it that he was doing he signed on to something with Paramount, yeah, James, yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't first look, because first look wouldn't be that bad, right? First look would be, hey, I'm James Mangold, I'm making this movie. Paramount, take a look at it. Do you want it? No, you don't. Okay, I can go X, Y, and Z. This is James Mangold signed an overall deal with Paramount to develop, direct, and produce movies for the studio. I don't know. That, to me, it's not that great. Thanks, Mike, for overall deal. Okay, so to me, I'm in the camp of like for DC and Star Wars not really happening. I think he always has a lot going on, and the good thing is like he makes movies quite frequently. Not as like Osgood Perkins, but I think every 2 years we're talking about a Mangold movie. Let me take a look and see his trajectory here, and I enjoy all the stuff. I think James Mangold has two strike zones. I think he has the phenomenal, this is one of the best things I've ever seen this year or in a while, or this decade, whatever. Or he has like, oh yeah, that was good and solid. There's tons of stuff. Like I still haven't watched the Chalamet Bob Dylan one, which I don't know why. I'm a massive Bob Dylan fan, but I just haven't gone around to it. I will watch it probably soon because the Springsteen one's coming up, so I want to kind of have that comparison there. But like, okay, so let's see. So yeah, like come on. So obviously Indiana Jones took longer, but so Complete Unknown 2024, then 2023 for Jones. That's 1 year. Ford versus Ferrari is 2019. So there's 4 years in between, but that kind of makes sense because Indiana Jones is much bigger, right? Logan 2017, so a 2-year break. The Wolverine 2013, so a 4-year break. And then before that, he was directing, and then 310 to Yuma and 9 Day was a 3-year break, but it's crazy from 2010 to, oh, actually not that bad. He's directing TV. So again, 9 Day to Wolverine is 3 years. So like he has like an average of 3 to 2 years. And yeah, Mike, you're right. He switches from franchises to awards regularly. Absolutely. Right. And Ford versus Ferrari, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Right. Where like Walk the Line, I got to go back and watch it a while, but I remember really liking that one. Where maybe I'm on the side of the complete unknown. I don't know why. I've heard mixed things, so I didn't run to it. And I guess the trailers to me just looked like, all right, just looked like any movie we could kind of predict, right? And it just was busy year last year, so I will get around to it. So, I just and right now, what is he's working on that movie with Chalamet, right? I know he said like tons of stuff upcoming because it says Juliet Crenshaw and stars John the Jedi. Which one? Development unknown. Okay, Juliet, I think is the one, right? That's the one in pre-pro, a romantic drama which a young woman learns she may be related to the people who inspired one of the most tragic love stories of all time. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. That sounds a little baity for me. So I don't know what. Let me look. I swear, is it Crenshaw then? And that's no. This guy has lots of stuff going on. So he has the because the movie on his IMDb's like what is really. I'll talk about that in a second. All of them, the random rumors. He stars Dawn of the Jedi, and then let's say he's directing his Swamp Thing, right? And then he has that movie Chalamet, and then he has a movie with Juliet, and then Crenshaw, and now with Paramount. I don't know what's going on. And maybe Juliet and Crenshaw and the Chalamet movie can go to Paramount, right? Hell, maybe, maybe Clayface can be on Paramount because they might be fucking buying Warner Brothers, right? So it still might all work out. It's just a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying he's not going to do it. I'm just saying as far as what's going to happen, I feel like when someone gets announced, like Sean Levy did, right? There's rumors he's working on it. They announced it and then the stuff started to work. I feel like with Star Wars and even DC to an extent, not as much, but when someone gets announced, and they did say it was further away, but it just the longer we get, things change, people's plans change, their lives changed, the money factors change, whether it's higher, lower, all the stuff, right? So, and I felt like with Clayface, that kind of has taken the slot of the Swamp Thing monster body torch or body horror type of slot, right? It felt like, that's not really happening. Let's do this. Flanagan has a script. We can tie it to X, Y, and Z. So I really don't know if he's going to be directing. I would still put more stock in him directing Swamp Thing because I feel like I don't know, James. Like that's a script that might be its own thing by itself, and James Gunn I think would be, if things are going well, willing to wait and just sure, let's work together at some point, right? Where Star Wars, we've had so many directors and writers and people announced for a movie and it never happens, right? So, but I still just kind of think they don't happen. I think they're just going to go through the wind. And again, his movie, I was very much torn. It's to a lesser degree last week, right, when I talked about Denis Villeneuve and Bond, where hey, that synopsis really does nothing for me, but it's Denis Villeneuve, so I trust him. The what is it? The one that is Mangold is I trust Mangold, even though I don't think everything he's done is 10 out of 10. I trust him to make a very good movie. I do not like the Dawn of the Jedi. Let's go back to the first Jedi. Not a fan. I'm a fan of going back far, sure, but the Dawn of the Jedi, the first one, the origin, seeing everything from the beginning. No, not questions I want answers. I'd like to keep that elusive as possible, right? So we got that, and then Starfighter, that's happening where this rumor is going on that apparently we've heard this before, right? Where Ryan Gosling has to take this kid, who's presumably his nephew, has force powers, to somewhere. We're all presuming it's probably Rey, something tied with Rey, because she'd be working on the new Jedi Order, right? We even heard rumors about that with that script of her movie that may never happen, right? So I'll say this before, we move on to the next thing. Superman says he's a better fit for Star Trek at Paramount anyways. He makes dad movies. Star Trek is a dad franchise. I could agree with that. I said I'm still on that bandwagon where I think Star Trek as a movie franchise is kind of dead right now. I'm not gonna say forever, but dead right now. Mangold would be a perfect guy to bring that up and give it some chutzpah. But I think whenever we get a Star Trek movie, Mike, I do think that's gonna be to me the telling point of what is the franchise, what is the future as far as film, right? And I'm not saying never, but sometimes things just need a long break, right? There's some stuff that comes out nowadays where I'm like that people aren't clamoring for that. They've moved on, right? But so there's this rumor now with the kid that Amy Adams might be a Jedi. My hope is this rumor is a fake, someone got it wrong. It's put out there fakely. It wasn't an idea, it's not an idea, or someone's got their wires crossed. Obviously, I guess you could do a situation where it's Ryan Gosling's sister, no sure, blah, blah, blah. She gets killed in trying to help get this nephew, her son, out of there. And it's like, oh, please take him to X, Y, and Z. So, all right. And I guess now I'm talking to myself. I guess where my point is, right? The rumor is this is supposed to take place 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. If the situation is Rey is around, traveling the world, meets Amy Adams, hey, there's something special about you. She has the Force, they train her, great. I can deal with that. Even though it's going to be a little odd for the kid's 14, so it's like, okay, she didn't have these Force powers right away, or maybe she did, and she wanted to train. I don't know. That's where, for me, my make or break is I do not want Amy Adams to have been around the whole sequel trilogy with Force powers doing nothing. I can understand Broom Kid. He's a little kid, and I get what Ryan Johnson's kind of put out there, but like, he's a little kid, he'd be scared, doesn't know what to do. That's fine. I get it if he's not running up to the fucking First Order to take out Kylo Ren. But some of these adults, and especially it's the same thing with the original trilogy, right? With Ben, he was watching Luke, right? And then he died when he went on adventures. That's fine. Yoda, you could make the case for Yoda being a coward. He ain't really doing much there, but I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with one guy watching Luke and then the other guy being a coward who's going to train whatever Jedi they can find. When you get Ahsoka and Ezra and Kanan and maybe Cal Kestis, and then you get Amy Adams and they're a sequel, it's just like all these people were around that have these amount of powers that was like, I have no investment in this character unless their story is I was a coward. I was too scared, right? If that is the story, that's fine. And maybe it's like I feel more open to this idea because I trust Rey and that Jedi Council. That's fine. I just need to tell a story. But the other Jedis like Ahsoka, Ezra, Kanan, like other people, they don't. That's nothing, right? They're just out there doing their stuff, and they say, oh, they also had important missions. It's like, yeah, all right, I'm sure they did, right? But for me, I didn't like anyone. Ahsoka, Kanan, like, it doesn't matter all the stories because for me, all this other stuff is fun, but for me, it's still when I watch the original trilogy, Luke is the last Jedi. He is the hope, and that's why he is so important, right? That's fine with Leia being there. That's cool. She can work too, but with those two, those are the last hope. When there's a bunch of people, it's like, well, Luke died, but we also know Ahsoka could be the last hope. Like, no, like, and again, people are gonna fight me on it. Luke's chosen one. People all the time say it's Anakin. I don't understand because people talk about all the time that, bounce to the Force. That means the light side and the dark side. 5 light, 5 dark. The Jedi in the movie, when they talk about the chosen one, they talk about destroying the Emperor and the dark side. They don't talk about it as they're being bounced, even though they talk about bounce. Now, this can go a whole longer conversation about them being hypocrites, right? But they don't talk about balance. They talk about dark side, gone, wiped out. Chosen one did that. Luke Skywalker fucking did that. I don't need a bunch of other Jedis around. So with Amy Adams being a Jedi, I just need to decide, or they need to decide, and then I will decide, is it someone, like I said, that's had Force powers but didn't know what to do? And that's fine. But if it's a Jedi, and she's a lightsaber, and she was around all during the sequel trilogy, like, oh, I was on a different planet, kicking ass, taking ass. No. Unless it's like, I guess the Outer Rim. But I still don't like it. It makes the world smaller. I like the pitch that she's had the Force for her life and was just scared to do anything, right? Or, man, wouldn't it be cool if she actually was like we never got to see the age and dive deep into it because they fucking just had no interest in Knights of Rens and Luke and Kylo Ren as master and apprentice and the whole school. But another thing I could accept is if she was a student being early trained on, because Mark Hamill would have been like 40-ish. Like, how old was let's see, Mark Hamill, Return of Jedi age. I know he's 74. Come on. Return of the Jedi. I know I could do the math, but I don't want to do it right on air here. Let's see here. So, how old was Mark Hamill? He was a 44-year-old man, right? And I checked this up the other day because I was talking about Clay and Katie about her being Mara Jade. That to me does not work because the real life ages. That would just feel kind of weird. She's 21 years younger than him. So I could believe, to me, same thing with what's happening with Rey, with Luke. You throw, not everything, but the whole Jedi can't have sex. Let him bang. You can only train him as a child. Obviously, that didn't go well with Anakin, but Luke trained as a man, as a young adult, I'll say. worked out fine in the trilogy, right? So I feel like Luke would be like, okay, just because you are an adult doesn't mean I'm not going to not train you. Um, so for me, he is 44 and he meets a 21-year-old that has force power. I don't know how it would work out wise, but that's another thing I could accept. If she was a force user or Jedi, but she was in that school when Kylo Ren took it down, maybe she escaped and she is a former student of his, not lover, former student. And then that's why she didn't complete her training, right? So maybe she didn't feel like confident enough to go out there and fight. I don't know, but there's some ways. I just don't want she was around or, oh, you saw her on the side, you just didn't know her, right? So we'll see. Don't love it right now, but it's all the execution, so I have to see it. I'll bring this up because we're talking about some horror, we're talking about the Mummy, but this is apparently happening. You'll see what the source is. This Screen Rant, Invisible 2 in the works. Elizabeth I don't understand this. This Screen Rant article. Elizabeth Moss is working on Invisible Man 2 and defends the long wait. Listen, I'll tell you something. There is no long wait for me because I'm not waiting. That movie does not need a sequel. That is a one and done. This is coming from a guy that when they announced Joker 2, I said, yeah, I can see why. Obviously, it's a $1 billion movie, right? And if Invisible Man made $1 billion, I get, but I can see why and all the pros, and I think it's smart of them to do a Joker sequel. What ended up happening? Not smart, right? But let's actually see. She says now an exclusive interview. She didn't. Oh, see, this is I think clickbait. So I'm sorry for my listeners. An exclusive interview with Screen Rant. Elizabeth Moss was asked whether she had any updates on Invisible Man 2. Moss said, "I wish I did," confirming there's no further news on the sequel's development. However, she reaffirms the passion is still there. We want one, so we're still working on it. I guess maybe I don't know. Then I apologize. That's not happening. Shouldn't happen. Get it out of here. Go do something else, Elizabeth Moss. I like Elizabeth Moss. She's great. Loved her in Mad Men. And this final rumor. And then also, actually, to Mike's point, because, patrons, they send in questions. Talk to them first here for the support. He asked, can I use Jeremy Irons getting cast in Chad Stahelski's Highlander reboot as an excuse to ask what is your anticipation level for the project in general? And have you seen the original? Highlander is a big blind spot for me. Never seen it in full. I've seen it in bits and pieces, but I would never, like, if I were to watch and log in on Letterboxd, it would be a first time watch. The same way with Tron Legacy. That retro's coming up. Obviously, the patrons, the producers have that. Everyone else is going to get it this week on Patreon, phase 2 and up. That was one where I had seen bits and pieces, but never the full thing. So I'm still marking it as like, that's my first time full watch, right? So never had an interest. I think now I hear more about it, I'm more interested. I felt like it fell into like an 80s, not dude bro, but bro-y type of movie. And I feel like I always stayed away from those at a younger age because it just wasn't my bag. Like I wasn't like, oh yeah, like, like Rocky, Rambo. I was just talking about Taylor with, Tulsa King, because no one will fucking watch Tulsa King that's under the age of 50. But, sorry, Taylor. That's the way it is. Those shows are for old people and you. People with old souls, I guess. But, I digress where it didn't appeal to me, even though Queen songs are in there apparently. I know it's Christopher Lambert and who is the other guy? Or is he the main guy? Highlander. It's not Thomas Jane, right? No. It's just Christopher Lambert. Let's see. Yeah, he just looks, I think the reason, okay, because it's Sean Connery, Clancy Brown. Hell yeah, I might have to revisit this. That's why, though, Christopher Lambert, if you look at that Highlander poster, he looks like Thomas Jane. That's why for a while, for many years, I thought that. But no, I've never watched it. I will probably give it a go. Okay, Clancy Brown's good in it. Okay, that's good. No duh, though, right? Clancy Brown's just so good and all this stuff. So I'll give it a go closer. My anticipation, I like the cast. I got the stat cast, right? You got Drew McIntyre, wrestler in there. You got, obviously, Cavill, which I think needs a big hit here. You got Jeremy Irons now as the villain. There was somebody else, I thought. Let's see, Highlander reboot. I like Stahelski, even though for me, Fall Guy was a big disappointment. I will say, like, I enjoy I enjoy his work and like his work. I don't love his work because he did Hobbs and Shaw, I think it was Atomic Blonde. He did Fall Guy. Now I know when I saw Bullet Train, I thought, oh, this guy might be making stuff I like for the rest of my life. Bullet Train for me was just like a perfect recipe of stuff I liked, and it really worked out well. So I'm excited for this, but I'm not. Okay, no, I'll say I'm intrigued, not excited. I'm intrigued for us to see how it is. This is a movie that, if it is reviewed poorly, I may never see, but because we're getting closer, I might check out, like, when we get closer, I'll check out some of the old G ones. I think I've just heard, oh, right, Batista's in this too? Oh, and he's playing the, Mike, if you're still in the chat, is that Russell Crowe's in the Connery role? Clancy Brown. So Batista's in the Kurgan role. Is that a good casting, Mike? Let me know. Yeah, great cast here. Henry Cavill, Russell Crowe, which is good getting them back together. Dave Batista, Karen Gillan getting the Guardians back together. Jeremy Irons, Marissa Abela, Abela? That sounds familiar. Jaimin Hunsu, and Drew McIntyre. So yeah, that cast gets me very excited. Oh, she played. Oh, okay. She played. She played Amy Winehouse, and supposedly that not so great Amy Winehouse movie, but she was good in Black Bag, so maybe. But yeah, I think that I'm intrigued, and I also, other than good reviews, like, and we'll see, because maybe the boys would want to do this. So this is John Kelsey's first Oh, sorry, I'm mixing them all up. You're completely right. I got him mixed up with Leech there. No, that gets me more excited, way more excited than actually. Sorry about that, but I conflated the two there. Yeah, no, that gets me way more excited, especially because of John Wick 4. To me, you can listen to the retros. I love John Wick 1. 2 and 3 to me are all right. I have a lot of issues with them. 4 I would say it's on the Mount Rushmore for action epics. I love that movie so much. Definitely a 10/10. Don't want them to do 5. Really don't want them to do 5. But that to me showed like um a massive scale like update. Like in directing is what I mean. It's the same way as like I was just talking about with somebody, because we're talking about Halloween stuff and Terrifier, and that's how I feel about, like, I talked about this. I don't know if we ever reviewed it. Maybe it was a what you've been watching. I don't know, but like from Terrifier, you see differences of All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, Terrifier 2. You see that director obviously getting better, right? But from 2 to 3, the budget helps, but from 2 to 3, you just feel like, okay, this guy's upped his game big time. Like he's got new skills that he didn't have before. That's how I felt about Stahelski with 4. With John Wick 4. I felt that he evolved. So yeah, that now I'm way more excited. So know what? No, I would probably, unless this thing reviews terribly, I'll probably at least check out the original and then check out this reboot. And maybe, I don't think we'd review the series, because I think I've heard the series is not the greatest, and I don't think it's like in a Halloween Friday 13th, like, oh, there's some fun bad ones, just like it's kind of meh. So we might just do kind of like what we're doing next month, is we're just gonna review Running Man and then the new one. I know there's not a Running Man, but just like a one or none. So we'll see. But yeah, so this other news that I was gonna talk about horror, and let me get a drink. My last water. No. So Universal, this is coming from Daniel RPK, is considering making a Mummy 4. Sorry, a Mummy 4 with Brendan Fraser. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm very excited at some point to. We've kicked it around. We're going to see. We might wait on it now. We've talked about doing a Mummy retro for the new Mummy next year. But because, again, luckily, happy to do it. We got the Pirates retro next year, and we got other retros that will fully confirm. Also should promote Bad Me, November 8th, 10 a.m. PST, 24-hour stream, Extra Life, raising funds for BC Children's Hospital. All tax deductible. We very much appreciate you donate any amount. Those go towards helping families with recovery, surgeries, transplants, all that type of stuff. Just care in general. We'd very appreciate it. And if you can't, we understand. Just please the day of join us. Like I said, you can donate, but share the link. like the video, that helps spread it. But yeah, we will be back, or we'll be doing it for our 9th year. It's gonna be tons of fun. And yeah, I was supposed to busy day today, but this week will be the official rollout. We got 3 t-shirts, some fun new events. We got fun old events, new events. It's gonna be a really good year. I'm looking really forward to it, just because I think GV Day was, that to me is still my favorite day ever of the podcast. So I feel like I was like, even though it was 1 a.m., I still could have gone longer. Was getting tired. I think now we've known to with Geek Versus, maybe put it in a different slot, because I feel like sometimes we got a little tired debating some of that stuff. But yeah, I can't wait. So please join us that day. Try and raise at least anything we can, but 2,500 is our goal, and we'll have some stretch goals and stuff like that. So it'll be a fun time. But Mummy 4, Brendan Fraser. I don't know about this. As I was saying, we talked about doing that. Don't know if we would. I know we did a commentary track a long time ago for Halloween. Yeah, it's interesting, right? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I think there's just a few things, right? I need to know if Rachel Weisz is back, because she was not there for 3, and 3 is just like, I don't think a awful movie, just very disappointing. I barely remember it. I never watched those. I just watched 1 and 2. 1 to me is a. I think, and this would be a good conversation. So many studios have chased the dragon to do, let's do our Indiana Jones, right? I think Indiana Jones, those films are, not perfect, but, perfect amalgamation of the romance, humor, action, horror, a little drama, comedy, all that stuff. Like, it is, those are the first 3 specifically, right? 4, no. 5, I quite enjoy, but I think it's a different type of beast. I think sometimes they do try to recapture the magic. It obviously doesn't work that way. I think Pirates, which funny enough, we are doing the retro next year, thanks to the patrons, and those 2 mummies are 2 of the closest we've gone to that type of feel again. I think other people say, oh, we're going for that vibe, and haven't hit it. There could be other ones. If anyone has them, throw them out. But to me, those are the closest, in my opinion, of getting all those together. So 3 is not, 3 feels like almost Indiana Jones 4, where it's not awful, just missing a lot of stuff, and Rachel Weisz is one of them. If they were to say that they are going with, I can't remember who played her, but if they're going with the recast for 4, or they were to do the storyline of, well, now Rick is on his own, then Evie's passed away, I would not be as excited. I, don't get me wrong, love Brendan Fraser. He's one of my favorite actors just because of my childhood, right? He was like Rick O'Connell. Grew up with that guy. Like, I had toys of the Mummy. That was the hero of mine. Like, he was in the Looney Tunes movie. I loved Bedazzled, Monkey Bones. Like, there's a lot of stuff in that era that I was a fan of, whether it was good or bad. Encino Man. Like, I was a big fan. George of the Jungle. As a kid, the Mummy and George of the Jungle were spammed so much in my house. So I'm there. Don't get me wrong. They now says I'm there, but my excitement level is also because, to me, it is the crew. It's those 3. It's those 2, Jonathan. I don't think you could bring Emotep back again, but I think that was one thing too. With the 3rd one, they did introduce like the new Mummy played by Jet Li, but it just didn't have the same connection there, really, though. All right, it's another Mummy. Like, there was something about those 2 having a connection. So I would love them to try and find a way to bring that back, or something like that. But it's fine if it's a new venture. Don't know if I need the son back. That's fine. You could recast him. The other thing is, to me, I just don't know Brendan Fraser talk about this, so I'm not talking out of turn. He just talked about how hard those movies were on his body and how they got surgeries. He loved doing his own stunts. I don't know. Like, I think here's the thing. I think the Mummy 4 movie I would want is past. I think you can get him there. And because here's the thing. They are making Universal, because who's making this movie? So Universal, they made the Brendan Fraser ones, right? But because the Mummy is public domain, I'm pretty sure that story is public domain. Anybody can make a Mummy movie, right? But let's see. Mummy Lee Corin. Who is producing this movie? Is this not a Universal movie as well? Okay, it's Blumhouse. Let's see. Okay, so that's Warner Brothers. Okay, so I take it back. I, for some reason, for this whole time, thought Universal was making this movie. I'm like, why would you make the Mummy with Lee Cronin and then the Brendan Fraser Mummy, right? Doesn't make much sense. Makes sense now because Brendan Fraser's hotter than ever. Horror, you could argue, is hotter than ever. People still, with the right franchise, love a good legacy sequel. So legacy, I won't say legacy sequel is hotter than ever, but it's still hot. It can, like, we still just had Top Gun a few years ago, right? So it can be done, but that's why I think with Legacy you need all of them back. And yeah, I guess that's where to me it would have been we're making a Mummy reboot, and maybe this is Mummy 4, but let's say they're going to do it. It's just it's tough because I think with Universal, I guess to me the route I would pitch is you're going to do a Mummy movie in the vein of that. You're going to get a new explorer or recast the Son. You need someone like a Glenn Powell. I'm not saying Glenn Powell, but someone like that. Glenn Powell would be fucking perfect though. Would be someone like that to play that type of role. And Brendan Fraser will be on the crew in the movie. The Mummy 4 movie I want is people don't like it, but Indiana Jones 4, where it is like an older guy running around doing that stuff. I can believe there are people that are in their 60s, 50s, 70s maybe, that have been fighting in the gym that are in way better shape than I am, stronger than I am, but they shouldn't be, right? Because of their age, but because if they've been working out their whole life, keep themselves in peak condition, they could do that. To me, when it was like Indiana Jones or Brendan, and also with 5, that kind of got maybe a little bit stretched, sure, but when it's Rick O'Connell, these characters that are banging and clanging and doing all this stuff their whole life, yes, you could argue they break down, but also they're like a callus. They're built up for this, right? So and I'm not trying to sound whatever, but studios do this. When they did the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, they told they're on record, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher said they told us to lose weight because you're supposed to look like these characters that are being active, doing activities on adventures, right? And anybody that would be doing that, you'd be losing weight all the time because you'd be moving, you're in wars. Like, look at what Luke Skywalker's doing. You're burning so many calories. So that's where it's like, it might not be believable unless you're playing that type of role, right? So that's where, is there a version of this where Brendan Fraser, because he has lost weight, of course, but like gets in like mummy shape and all this? Maybe, but I don't think so. And I also I'm not the fan like he better, like, I won't want that if he doesn't want that. If he's talking about how his body's hurt, like if his body's turned against him, then don't put the man through this. Have him in a mentor role. But I don't think that has the same. To me, I guess the only way is if you do the 3 OGs and you get a bigger star or actress. Because you could always say they had a daughter, or maybe they didn't talk about her. She was on a different venture. An actor or actress, a big star that can fill that role. So I think there's something there. I just, off the hop, I don't. I have more questions than I do answers, even though I would be there because, I love that franchise, right? Same thing. Who would direct that? I really don't know. It would be interesting, but let me look at the news. But I think that's it. I think that's it. Just a small little, newscast today. Yeah, no, I think that's it. We'll call it there. I got a cast there on 2 times a day too, so White Man Can't Jump. Gen V will be back for that. So thank you very much to everyone that listened, tuned in after the fact. And I'll be back Friday for at least Smash Machine, maybe more. And I promise you, it will not